Welcome to the BC Provincial Effective Speaking Virtual Competition. My name is Jermaine Chu and I am the Effective Speaking Coordinator. I would like to begin by acknowledging that on the land on which we gather include the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. Today we have 8 competitors. We have a few housekeeping rules to cover. Out of respect to the speakers, the judges, and audience, we ask that you are muted during the competition. The competition is being recorded and the video will be posted on the BCPC website once approved. Please decide prior to speech beginning if you would like your video on or off. We will monitor the audio and video visual while the speeches are underway. Once this meeting has been announced as beginning, those entering late will be admitted in between the speeches. The format for today is as follows. Each speaker will present a 5 to 6 minute prepared speech with a 2-minute break for judges to mark. We ask for your cooperation in keeping your systems muted while our judges score. After all prepared speeches are complete, we will have the judges send forth their marks to the designated email address. We will have a short 10 to 15 minute break, then commence the impromptu section of competition. Impromptu speeches will be 2 to 3 minutes each and will be presented in reverse order. The speakers will not know the topic of the speech until they are given 3 minutes to prepare prior to their turn. After the completion of the speeches, we will tally the scores and then announce the top 3 names. The gold medalists will continue on to our national competition, which is held on June 4th this year, virtual again with details to follow. And if you need, you can certainly email me at effectivespeaking.bcpc@gmail.com for the details. So let's begin this competition and have some fun. Without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce to you Speaker 1. Cadet's Choice, Cadet Life, Science and Technology, Aviation, Canadian History, or Citizenship. Cadet's Choice, Cadet Life, Science and Technology, Aviation, Canadian History, or Citizenship. Speaker number 1.
Amare usk adamare, from sea to sea. That is our country's motto. It means that from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic, on this land, we are all Canadian. To me, however, it means that from the Atlantic Ocean back to the Atlantic Ocean, all around the world, we accept everyone as Canadians if they come. As of 2020, there are roughly 8 million immigrants living in Canada. Immigrants that have helped and continue to help our country grow. They have made incredible advancements for Canada and themselves in fields like healthcare, business, engineering, and many more. What's amazing to see is that any person that immigrates to Canada finds a way to make their citizenship their own and finds a way to make a difference. From sea to sea, they are Canadian. One such Canadian is Takwa Mak. After being raised in Hong Kong, Dr. Mak moved to the States for university. He there pursued a major in biochemistry from the University of Wisconsin. Then moved to Canada to earn his doctorate from the University of Alberta. Takwa Mak started with a job paying just $1.25 an hour to clean lab equipment, to then move up in his career to being the director of the Campbell Family Institute for Breast Cancer Research in Toronto. He and his colleagues have made huge contributions in the fields of immunology and cancer research by solving the structure of the T-cell receptor gene, allowing researchers to recognize what fights cancer at the cellular level. His paper has been cited nearly 1,200 times in other scientific studies around the world. The basic research in breast cancer conducted by Dr. Mak has been published in top international scientific studies, and he has given several keynote addresses at breast cancer symposiums across Canada and America. But in spite of offers from prestigious institutions around the world, Takwa Mak has remained committed to Canada's scientific community, and always will be. His research has saved lives, all because he came to Canada and decided that he was going to leave his mark on our society, much like Rola Dagher. At just 16, Rola Dagher and her daughter immigrated to Canada from Lebanon to escape the Civil War. And when she came to Canada, she took any job she could get, which happened to be a job as a telemarketer for Bell Canada. But She fell in love with it. So she climbed up the ladder of her career until she left Bell to be the president of Cisco Systems Canada. Rolla Dogger's persistence and courage created a new life for her and her daughter to thrive in. To this day, she's an amazing businesswoman, advocating for mental health in the household, and even put in place mental health supports for Cisco employees globally. For her work, she's even named one of Canada's top 25 women of influence. Besides her work, though, one of the things that drew me to her is how she describes herself as a proud Lebanese and a grateful Canadian. Even though she immigrated to Canada so long ago, she'll never forget that part of her, because she's both Lebanese and Canadian. That's part of the beauty of Canada. No matter where you come from, in Canada, you're able to celebrate your heritage while also being Canadian. No one makes you choose. Rolla Dogger made incredible advancements for not only immigrants, but also women in the workplace. And so did another female immigrant, Gina Cody. Ever since she was little, Gina Cody prided academics above all. She enrolled at the Sharif University of Technology in Iran, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in structural engineering. She then sought higher education at McGill University, but the amount of money she immigrated to Canada with wasn't enough to cover her tuition. Luckily, she got a meeting with the engineering professor at Concordia University, and because of her intellect, he offered her a full scholarship. However, being an immigrant woman in STEM did not come without hardship. She was constantly judged as being not as good by her male coworkers. But that pushed her even harder. In 1989, she became the first woman in Concordia's history to earn a PhD in engineering. And then she climbed the ranks until she became president of an engineering firm. Even though she is now retired, she is the face of Concordia's engineering program and inspires women in engineering everywhere. She donated $15 million to that engineering program. And with that donation, she said, and I quote, regardless of their gender, ethnicity, or wealth, everyone fully belongs to engineering. Just like her. She fought for her dream like every Canadian should. These three groundbreaking people will go down in history. They each paved the path for countless other immigrants in their fields, and hearing their stories is inspiring, to say the least, because they fought hard to achieve their goals. Each individual in Canada, immigrant or not, takes their citizenship and molds to fit their aspirations and their dreams, weaving their own unique threads into the fabric that is Canada. I am proud of each and every Canadian forging their way into the future, working hard to strengthen the meaning of this country's motto, working hard to prove that in fact from sea to shining sea, we are all Canadian. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 1. Moving along, we have Speaker 2. What are the biggest challenges facing youth today? What are the biggest challenges facing youth today? Speaker 2.
Thank goodness I was never sent to school. It would have rubbed off some of the originality. This is a quote from the creator of The Adventurous Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter, who was homeschooled. Now, schooling may not seem like one of the biggest challenges that youth face today, but it can be, especially with so many children and teenagers having trouble learning at the different schools. Homeschooling is one way to help with that. Today, I will share some of my thoughts and experiences on how homeschooling can help prepare children for the real world while staying original. Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, guests, dear parents, and my fellow cadets, a very good morning to all. I am Sergeant Hannah Kalin from 899 Vanderhoof Air Cadets. I enjoy being homeschooled, and I find there are many benefits. I know that for many people, the public school system does work better, but I think it is important for people to know that homeschooling is another way of teaching that does work. Most of you probably don't know very much about homeschoolers. Maybe you have not even ever met one. I have heard from some people that I am supposed to wear denim jumpers, be completely unsocialized, and come from a big family. The big family part is true in my case, but I do not even know what a jumper is. You use those to boost cars, right? So, what does a normal homeschooling day look like? Well, this does vary for most families. Mine is pretty simple. I usually have some laptop or my books, and I study those for a couple of hours. I have a full course load for grade 10, and I complete my assignments and send them to an online teacher for marking. Most homeschool students do have that in some way. Most of my courses are self-paced, but some need to be done as a class online, and those have fixed timings. One thing that I notice during an online class is that the teacher often has to re-explain things because there are many students and some of them are goofing off or haven't done their homework, usually the homework one. Even I have trouble with that sometimes. This slows a class down a lot, and I don't think I could handle having to do classes like those all day. Sadly, I don't get sick days or holidays, which is really sad, and most people are quite surprised to learn. In my house, my mom says you pretty much need to be dead to get out of school. And since I don't want to die, I will just keep doing school. I find most of my schoolwork easy, but some people do have a hard time, which is why some people choose to do homeschooling. Especially in a public school, there are only one teacher in a classroom and there can be many students. It can be hard to get one-on-one help because there are so many students and they all need help of some form. My best friend's younger brother had a problem with his eyes. And because of this, he couldn't read. All the words on a page would just get mixed up and start running around the page. So he couldn't read very well. And with the other kids bullying him at school for this, he quickly went downhill even further and read like a kindergartner. His parents pulled him out of home and started homeschooling. Quickly, he regained confidence and he began to read way better. He also discovered that he is a math genius. Many people who have a special in one area will never find out because a public school can keep you into one area and won't let you explore your passion to a certain degree. It can also be hilarious to be a public school student or a homeschool student, and it is quite hilarious for me because I do not know things that other normal teenagers or children do know because of having been raised differently. One day during an online class, there was a student talking in chat with things like LOL and BRB. Most of you probably know what those are, right? But all the other students did too. I didn't. So I had to type in the chat, English, please. They were shocked. They were even more shocked when later in the month, I told them that I did not know what a Happy Meal is. And I still kind of know now, but I still have a lot more things to learn. I never feel upset about this because I have learned that we must always be continually learning. Homeschooling allows me and others to stay unique and to follow our own paths as we begin a life of learning. I hope that we can all look upon our futures as great adventures. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Speaker 2. Next, we have Speaker 3. What is the biggest current threat to the environment and how would you suggest we remedy it? What is the biggest current threat to the environment and how would you suggest we remedy it? Speaker 3.
When I was 6, I remember going to a soccer game with my dad. We had one of those top seats in the soccer stadium. where I could see the entire audience around the field. I had never seen such a huge crowd in my life before. So my curious child brain asks, why are all the humans on this planet gathered here? My dad laughed this question off and said that these were just local soccer fans. But after that, I couldn't stop wondering, if local soccer fans had such a huge number, then what is the number of humans existing on this entire planet? Today, I'm standing before you because I know that number and what effects it will have on my future, on our future. Hello, judges, honored guests, and fellow cadets. I'm Faiko Pokor, and I will be talking to you about overpopulation. Our population is at 7.9 billion people, which may not be that large considering that we can fit the whole world's population in just one city like Vancouver if we were to stand shoulder by shoulder. However, overpopulation is not just about numbers or space. It means that a species exceeds the carrying capacity of its environment. It can result in increasing birth rates, decreasing death rates, increasing immigration, and decreasing natural resources. And guess what? We see all these things happening right now in our world, which is why I believe that overpopulation is the biggest threat to our social and physical environment. Now, how many of you remember going to the zoo when you were kids? Did you find some animals fascinating and mysterious? Imagine these animals: poisoned, killed, extinct. For agriculture, we invade their land for our food. For agriculture, we use 70% of our fresh water. And for agriculture, we poison their water resources with our pesticides. I made agriculture look like a villain, didn't I? But the truth is that we are the real villains. Our population just increases, which forces agriculture to be expanded. And just like agriculture, we step out of our boundaries for other extra resources like water, energy, cars, for our extra population. But along this way, we forget that all these excessive resources are being torn apart from our environment. Yet, the main question remains, how can we control our population? In the past, some developing countries tried using the one-child policy, the policy that suggested that couples with one child were to be rewarded and those with more were to be fined in some kind of way. However, it wasn't such an ethical solution because it led to gender imbalance and less support for the elderly. And hey, who wants to have a limit on their right to have children? But even though I'm against this law, I do believe that every household should be mindful of their family planning. And to do that, we need to ensure equality all over the world. Studies show that countries providing universal education access to its people, no matter what color, ethnicity, race, or gender, are more likely to break out of a poor social environment much faster than the others. Another solution that could work is controlling the amount of resources we use and the waste we produce. An average North American produces about a pound of waste, which is a lot because there are millions left starving all across the world. A fair distribution of resources can ensure the reduction of people starving and can help buy us time to replace our diminishing natural resources with much more renewable resources. Ultimately, issues like climate change, global warming, high housing prices, deforestation, they all come down to its one root problem: overpopulation. Controlling our population will mean saving those animals, our future, our earth, and our natural resources, then why hesitate? And just like Maurice Strong, a visionary of global sustainable development, once said, either we reduce our population voluntarily, or nature will do it for us, only in brutal ways. So tonight I'll go home and switch off all the extra resources I use. Will you, Madam Chair?
Thank you very much, Speaker 3. Moving along here, we have Speaker number 4. Future of space travel. Future of space travel. Speaker number 4.
Hello, Madam Chair, judges, cadets, and esteemed guests. Believe it or not, we are living in the future. Now, we may not have phasers, warp cores, or flying cars, but still, the technology we have would blow the socks off anyone walking out of the box office preview of Back to the Future. Out of our many technological breakthroughs, the most significant foot forward in our society has to be space travel. From completely renewable rocket main stages to proposed Mars missions, aerospace tech is becoming globally more and more significant. As it continues to grow, the future of such will come down to 3 paths: exploration, human inhabitation, and resource collection. Who knows? We may even see a USS Enterprise in our future. Throughout history, humans have always been explorers. From the first powered flight by the Wright brothers to the first steps on the moon by Neil Armstrong, we have pushed the limits to boldly go where no man or woman has gone before. The drive to push the boundary of what is considered humanly possible will continue to thrive as we move into the future of space travel. There are plans by nearly every space agency to send their people to the moon. From the National Aeronautics and Space Administration to the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency and even the Canadian Space Agency, everyone wants a slice of the moon pie. Not only are there plans to land on the moon, but Mars and even the Jovian system are potential targets for exploration in the future. In conjunction with the previous point, sustainable residence on other planets and moons will follow our exploration. It is one thing to travel to another world, but it's not enough for our ambition as humans to just go there and leave. So the next steps will be to produce a community on these other worlds. It will start with scientific bases on the moon to research the celestial body and the feasibility of human colonization there and across the solar system. Next, humans will spread out to Mars for continued research of the Martian world, looking at geology, the success of human inhabitants, and signs of water and life. In addition to these scientific goals, private sectors such as SpaceX and Blue Origin plan on their own colonization of other worlds. As time and research continue, plans to reach out as far as colonization of some of Jupiter's moons may become a reality. Even with these complex goals of colonizing planets and moons, the idea of procuring a space colony still remains on the table of possibility. As our knowledge and technology continue to grow as we dare to explore and colonize, so will our ability to produce and collect resources. For our colonies to become self-sufficient, they rely upon what is available in their environment. For instance, the moon's surface is abundant in aluminum oxide, silica oxide, iron oxide, and other metal oxides, which, when refined, can produce structural members, circuitry materials, and even solid rocket fuel. Mars' surface contains iron oxides and some similar composition to Earth, which too can produce structural components and semi-metals for circuitry. In both these scenarios, refining minerals on other worlds can allow our colonies to become self-dependent and can provide another source of resource for Earth. However, if we look beyond just utilizing planets and moons, we can find a whole new world of possibility. Asteroids can contain a variety of different elements, from simple silicon to precious metals like ruthenium and rhodium. Asteroids have it all. If we were to station a mining colony in the asteroid belt, we would be able to mine more precious metal there than what we have collected in all of human history. And there we have it, a brief look into the future of space travel. We'll start off with exploration, followed by human colonization, and conclude with mineral harvesting. Now, I'm no time traveler with a big blue box or a DeLorean, but that's what I foresee in the next 5 decades or so. It's an ambitious idea, but what is the human race if not for ambition? For the world would remain still flat, the sky would only contain birds and bugs, and space would just be a sight for the night. We are explorers. It's what we do. We dare go into the bold unknown. We achieve what is considered unachievable. We make the impossible become the possible. We strive for greatness, for we are great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 4. Speaker 5. Speaker 5, it's cadet choice, cadet life, science and technology, aviation, Canadian history, or citizenship. Cadet life, science and technology, aviation, Canadian history, or citizenship. Speaker number 5.
You're talking about something that seems mundane with someone. Hey, did you see this new coffee I got? Or I found a way to watch American Netflix. Or even maybe I'm not terribly content with the state of the government right now. Minutes later, you check your phone and scroll your feed, and you see eerily relevant ads that are relevant to what you just talked about. Ads for that new coffee, ads for a VPN service, and a political campaign that promises to change the world, or at least your local municipality. That's weird. They must be tapping into the microphones, right? I'll give you a secret. They don't need to. We live in a world where we're more and more okay with invasive tracking from the likes of Google, Facebook, and Microsoft and whatnot. Giving up privacy is kind of been normalized now through the use of their free services, where everything is tracked and collected to a degree to show you products, content, and do what else with it. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and others. Get ready to put your tinfoil hats on because it's a bumpy ride. If you've ever experienced this phenomenon where advertisements seem to align with your interests, rest assured, this is no accident. In the terms and conditions and the privacy policy that you've read, you consent to these services like Facebook, Google, to use your interests to create a tailored advertising experience just for you. To most, this is no surprise nor any real concern. Well, these services are so useful, not to mention free, you might say. But have you ever thought about its true cost? How can 15 gigabytes of Google Drive storage be free? How can making a Facebook page or just about anything be free? And how can sending messages to anyone across the world be free? It's simple. They're not. No, there's no monetary cost, but there is a cost nonetheless. It's you. You see, every search and every click is associated to you by a Google account or Facebook. That is you. Your search history is what you seek to know. Photos on social media are what you experience. Where and when your conversations are, well, that's where you are. These aren't just mere representations of information about you. They are you. By knowing you inside and out, even better than you know yourself, you as an individual are no longer driving the vehicle that is your own mind, but a mere passenger. You want privacy of this information, whether you choose to believe it or not. If someone you knew personally knew all of this, you'd be understandably freaked out. It's called stalking. It's no different here. But you might say, why privacy? Why about this? It's a big company. It's not just some person that I know. I laid out for you. Here's a scenario. You're going to have to stick with me for a minute. Let's say you have a slight bias towards the color green. This is just an opinion that you have. You're not going to hate someone over them liking the color green. It's an opinion. So you're going to follow people that you agree with. After all, you want to see content that you like. You don't want to see content that you don't like on your favorite Instagram feeds. And while Instagram, which have your best interest in mind, they want to show you stuff that you want to see as well. They're on your side, right? You don't not want to see content about green, right? But what happens if you keep going further with this pattern? On the surface, this seems fine, but if you keep going, that bias of green is going to be confirmed over and over again. Sure, it'll be little posts like behavior of people who like green and something innocent like that. But eventually, when this pattern keeps going, it's going to become conspiracy theories about why green will destroy the earth and we're all doomed. And this is what's known as a rabbit hole. And I know this sounds a bit absurd. I took this absurd example because you can't help but laugh at it. And I care about all of this because I almost went down that path too. The social media spiral has kind of made me an angrier and more cynical person as a whole. If you know anything about Twitter, you know how toxic it can get there. So no more social media for me, except Facebook for cadets. Hypocrite I am. And well, I thought to myself, what happened? What happened to the freedom and chaos of the internet? Long gone are the days of making your own website and blog, and setting up your own chat server even. Now everything is just relegated to big tech. And well, is this a problem for most people? I can't really tell you. Like I said, those services that are free, well, they are convenient. A lot of them are good services. Talking to people around the world is invaluable. And having free services that might not have a monetary cost, even in this economy, well, they are a good thing in a way. And I care about privacy because I care about you, which cheesy as that sounds, I truly believe that you should have the dignity of being able to keep everything that is known about you to yourself. Because I haven't even talked about life or death situations where privacy is a must. Political dissidents where maybe they might not agree with the government that is authoritarian. A predatory insurance policy where insurance rates will hike because of certain habits. I could go on and on and on, but we just don't have time for that. From Edward Snowden's autobiography, Permanent Record, he's the computer security consultant from the NSA. You might have heard of him. Arguing that you don't care about the right to privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different than saying you don't care about the right to free speech because you have nothing to say. So it's up to you. I can't choose for you, but I can certainly guide you a little bit. But let's talk about it before it's too late. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 5. Next, we have Speaker number 6. What is the biggest current threat to the environment and how would you suggest we remedy it? What is the biggest current threat to the environment and how would you suggest we remedy it? Speaker number 6.
The environment on Earth is constantly crumbling, and a big factor in this urgent issue is global warming. Global warming is caused by gases that are created when we farm, manufacture items like steel, or burn fuel for energy. These gases, like carbon dioxide, escape into the atmosphere and thicken it, which causes the world to heat up, just like a greenhouse. The temperatures increase, which in turn causes ice sheets to melt, water levels to rise because of that, and many other extreme weather events, like heat waves or hurricanes, will start to occur way more frequently. Now imagine walking the streets in your neighborhood on a sunny spring day. But imagine those same streets, except that now they're completely flooded with water up to your waist, and parks, buildings, and signs are in ruins. Unfortunately, statistics show that Amsterdam, Venice, New Orleans, and even part of Metro Vancouver will end up being underwater in the next 10 years if we keep producing carbon dioxide at the same rate. Carbon emissions, like carbon dioxide, are one of the main causes of climate change, but not all is lost just yet. Today, I, Sergeant Zhang from 692 BCIT Aerospace Squadron, will be talking about the 3 ways that we can help reduce emissions: through ride sharing, switching to renewable sources of energy, and forestation. Ride sharing is, for many people in Metro Vancouver, a fairly easy and convenient option. By reducing the number of individual vehicles needed to make a trip, we can reduce the overall amount of carbon dioxide that's produced. For example, having 4 people in a car instead of each person driving their own car means that there's only the carbon emissions of 1 car instead of 4. Public transit is an extremely effective form of rideshare, particularly in a well-developed area like Metro Vancouver. But the transit system, TransLink, can get anyone anywhere, almost just as fast, if not faster, than if one were to drive, simply because taking the SkyTrain helps you bypass all of the road traffic. By ride sharing, not only do we help reduce emissions, we also clear up the roads, making it easier for everybody to get around. I use public transit on a really regular basis, and yesterday, for example, instead of my dad having to drive me to and from school, I just took the bus both ways, and it saved us so much time as well. There were 4 vehicles that I took on my trips to and from school, which meant that around the emissions of around 400 people were prevented. In addition to being faster and producing fewer emissions per person, forms of public transit like buses or trains are becoming more reliant on renewable sources of energy, like electricity, rather than burning fuels like gas. By transitioning from fossil fuels to clean energy like electricity that comes from wind power, solar power, or hydropower, we can eliminate most of the emissions that come from producing energy. While this may be harder for us to do on an individual level, by speaking up about our energy sources and investing in these clean energy technologies, we can move forward towards this new energy. Many of you have probably seen, heard of, or even been in the eye of the wind, the enormous wind turbine that sits on top of Grass Mountain. But did you know that wind turbine can actually produce enough electricity to power 260 homes year-round? And wind power, along with solar power, aren't even BC's strong suits. BC's forte lies in hydroelectricity. And while it does contribute to a lot of the electricity we use in our daily lives, around half of the electricity that's created in Canada is still being made by non-renewable sources. Now, we have ways to help reduce emissions, but how do we get rid of the carbon emissions that already exist? Well, planting more trees is the most effective method for reducing greenhouse gases caused by carbon emissions. Trees absorb carbon dioxide from the air, keeping the carbon and releasing the oxygen. They're essentially Earth's air filters. Unfortunately, because of the rate of deforestation, many of the trees on Earth are much younger and less effective in keeping and absorbing that carbon dioxide. Ancient forests have been disappearing all over the world, affecting the climate and destroying species and ecosystems. If we keep cutting down trees at the same speed, we could actually lose nearly half of the world's trees in the next 20 years. And that doesn't even include the enormous amounts of trees that are being burned up every single year by increasingly frequent wildfires, which is another result of global warming. These trees are essentially an anchor for nature in more ways than one, sheltering animals, absorbing CO2, and even preventing landslides like the ones that took down many major highways this winter, which is why it is imperative that we save the trees. Well, these aren't the only ways that we can combat climate change. By using forms of ride sharing like public transit, investing in renewable sources of energy like solar, wind, or hydro, and reforming our forests, we can work together and restore our planet, reducing and hopefully even eliminating carbon emissions. Thanks to climate activists like Greta Thunberg and the daily efforts of countless others, we're starting to protect our planet the way we always should have. And to everyone here, I urge you, as Sidney Sheldon said, try to leave the Earth a better place than when you arrived. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 6. Next, we have Speaker 7. Because we are seeing a heightened interest in travel into space, what do you see as the future of space travel? What do you see as the future of space travel? Speaker number 7.
60 years ago, the first person went to space. 50 years ago, the first person stepped onto the moon. 40 years ago, the first reusable spacecraft was launched. 20 years ago, the International Space Station was launched. 10 years ago, a private company started delivering cargo to the International Space Station. And just 6 months ago, that same company sent the first all-civilian crew into space. Where will we be in the next 10 years? Judges, officers, guests, and fellow cadets. Space travel has always been run by governments. Nearly everyone who's been to the moon, been to the ISS, or just been to space in the first place has been an astronaut. Until now. the space industry is starting to become commercialized. In other words, it's starting to become run by private companies. SpaceX is the most obvious example. They've been delivering cargo, as I already said, to the ISS for the past 10 years. They started delivering astronauts in 2020. Just 6 months ago, they sent the first all-civilian crew into space. And just 1 month ago, they sent 3 private customers to the International Space Station for 3 days. There are other companies in the space travel industry. Richard Branson went to space with his company Virgin Galactic in July of last year. And just a couple weeks later, Jeff Bezos went to space with his company Blue Origin. And both of these companies have made numerous launches since then. So what does this commercialization of the space industry mean for space travel in the near future? Well, you can go to space. While before you had to become an astronaut, which meant a couple degrees and extremely rigorous training, now you can go with almost no training for price. It costs $250,000 to $500,000 to go with Blue Origin and $450,000 to go with Virgin Galactic. Now, if you want to go spend 3 days on the ISS like those 3 people did earlier, you only have to pay SpaceX $55 million US. But regardless of the high price, this means that for the first time in history, there will actually be a demand for tickets to travel in space. The space industry no longer being restricted to government purposes only means that space travel for personal and private reasons is now possible. As technology evolves, travel to other parts of the world is an implementation of that. Now, Jeff Bezos' entire flight took 10 minutes from the launch to the landing, and it takes 90 minutes for the ISS to orbit the Earth. So a trip to the other side of the world in the Starship, which is a developing spacecraft, could take less than an hour, which is a huge decrease from the over a day it takes to fly that amount. Although it's a long shot, I think travel to the moon and even to Mars will happen. The moon has obviously been done before, but it should be much easier now. Just compare a picture of the SpaceX Dragon, which is a capsule they use to take astronauts to space, to a picture of the Apollo 11 capsule they used to take humans to the moon. Not only is the Dragon bigger, it can hold up to 7 people, where the Apollo can only hold 3. It's safer. It can eject off of the rocket if something goes wrong. It looks much better. There aren't instruments and dials and knobs all over the inside of the cabin. There's just one touchscreen control panel over the 2 people. It's much more higher tech. The spacesuits look much better than the Apollo spacesuits. The computer is much more powerful. I mean, your smartphone is hundreds of thousands of times more powerful than the Apollo computer. So many, many innovations have been made in food, waste recycling, solar panels, the rockets, the spacesuits, the computers. And it just shows how far we've come in the 50 years or so that space travel has been in existence. SpaceX is also working on their Starship spacecraft, which I mentioned earlier, and it's the most powerful launch vehicle ever developed, or currently in development. It's dirt cheap compared to what we have today or what they're working on right now. It's estimated to cost $10 million per launch compared to the hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars that a current competitor would cost. And they're planning on mass producing them. And although artificial gravity hasn't been invented yet, I think it's something to look forward to. And then there's always the prospect of settling on other planets. So what will the world of space be like in 10 years? Well, since normal people have a much greater access to the space industry, I believe that we will see space travel become regular. My generation is a generation of technological achievement, and this new venture of space travel into the business world will not only create jobs, it will create opportunity for anyone who wants to float in space, to walk on the moon, to go to Mars, and to gaze down in wonder at our incredible planet. And that is what I see as the future of space travel. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 7. Next, we have Speaker 8. What are the biggest challenges facing youth today? What are the biggest challenges facing youth today? Speaker 8.
Sitting at the cafeteria tables, laughter erupts out of all of us. We recall the funny moments, the happy moments. We smile, but we don't see what happens underneath the masks, underneath those smiles, underneath that thick skin we perceive as happiness. Judges, parents, fellow cadets, thank you so much for coming here to discuss a very prevalent issue in society with me today. My name is Warrant Officer 2nd Class Megan Tai, and I have always been passionate about challenges my generation faces. Unfortunately, there are many challenges we must face: global warming, discrimination, substance abuse, and many more. But from my perspective of this generation, one of the biggest challenges we face today is finding our worthiness and the true meaning of happiness. Now, to understand what is going on with youth today, I want you to close your eyes and allow me to take you back in time. Every day after school, a mother asked her daughter, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your day? A 10. The teacher let us have an even longer recess today, she'd reply, or sometimes it would be a 7 because her friend didn't come to school today. Time and time again, the young girl would always have a new story to tell, and time again, her mother would smile, knowing her daughter was well. On one peculiar afternoon, however, the mother asked her daughter once again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your day? It was okay, she said bluntly. Confused as to why her daughter was so silent, she asked what was going on. Nothing was all she could say, and even though the radio played and the bustling traffic sounded, the entire ride felt silent. That silence never ended. A wall grew, and instead of her parents trying to understand the structure and its power, they turned away from it. They tried to look over the wall, and they put shiny new books on the girl's arms while she balanced a calculator, a piano lessons, competitions, and even more books, all for that sparkling piece of paper we call a resume. As long as she can balance and isn't crumbling behind that wall, it doesn't matter how much we give her. What if I told you there was another wall just as powerful as the first? It grew ever since she heard a friend say harmful things about her, just because she wanted to share more about her life. Instead of avoiding the friend, she continued to spend time with them, but vowed to never share her true feelings. She promised to agree with everything she heard just so that she could hold on to more people. She never really made any real friends, though not realizing it at the time, that's how her second wall grew. She thought she could impress people with how she dressed, what she bought, how she conducted herself online, designer labels and material things that no one even noticed but herself. The small spots of acne no one could even see unless they stood a few millimeters close to her. What are hip dips anyways? What's the fastest way to lose weight? Why am I not beautiful enough? Always self-conscious, she developed another wall even more quickly than the previous two, caused by anxiety over societal norms and fear of negative judgment. 3 walls were already up, and if one more wall decided to grow as rapidly as the first, who knew what would happen to her? She had hoped things would get better. Even when her life seemed to be crumbling to pieces, she had hope. She wanted to live, but what if I told you someone else wished for her to have never existed? Because they thought the world would be better off without her. That opening, hope, was quickly replaced by a final wall entrapping her in a cell, a continuous spiral of thoughts she never thought she would ever think of. Family, friends, freedom of expression, and hope. The walls prevented her from grasping such concepts that were once right in front of her, now gone. Was it her fault they were gone? Was it her fault to have put herself in this situation? The walls were starting to cave in, and before the very last glint of light wanted to disappear, she knew she wanted to live. She knew she wanted to be happy. If I ended here, you may be wondering what exactly happened to this little girl. Did she manage to break down these walls and climb out that very dark space of emptiness? Or did it consume her? I'm fortunate enough to say that this young girl is standing in front of you all today. I'm grateful to have managed to find a safe space to reach out to others and to tell my story, which helped me on my journey of finding true happiness. I wish I could say that it was an easy journey, that every little boy and girl has gone over these walls, but unfortunately, this is not the case for everyone. Struggling to find happiness and worthiness is a struggle my generation tends to face in our everyday lives. We all experience obstacles in our lives. They come at different times in different situations, and we have to address them differently. To overcome them is a treacherous journey because it's terrifying not knowing what life might throw at you. The most important thing to understand is that while we all struggle to find joy and worthiness at times, it is all part of the journey. This journey may be filled with turbulence, but eventually you'll land at the sunniest paradise. I implore you to keep an open mind and open heart, to treat people with compassion, with kindness. You never know what someone else may be going through. A simple compliment or act of kindness may end up changing someone's life. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 8. Now, this concludes the prepared section of competition, and we are going to take a 15-minute break now. We will have our judges moved into the judges' room and the cadets into the cadets briefing room shortly. For the auditorium, we are going to display a provincial slides that shows our appreciation of all the host squadrons through this year that has assisted me in the regional competitions and all the volunteers there. I hope you enjoy that.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain, when I believed in forever and everything would stay the same. Now my heart feel like December when somebody say your name, 'cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day, yeah.
Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday, yeah.
But everything will be alright. Go as your voice will say, hey. Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Close to the ones here today, close to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I never felt so lost, when I felt that all the hatred was too powerful to stop. Now my heart feels like an ember, and it's lighting up the dark. I'll carry these torches for you, but you know I'll never drop, yeah.
Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday, hey, hey.
But everything gon' be alright.
Go and raise your voice and say, hey.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Close to the ones here today, close to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Memories
Move speaker 8 into the right up room.
So we got cheers and a wish you were here, but you're not, 'cause our dreams bring back all those memories of everything we've been through. Close to the ones here today, close to the ones that we lost on the way, 'cause the dreams bring back all the memories, and the memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Memories bring back you. Here's to the memories bring back you.
All right, so thank you very much for coming back to our BC Effective Speaking virtual competition. We are going to start our impromptu section of competition now. I hope you enjoyed our slideshow during the break time, and we are going to start the impromptu section of competition is performed in reverse order, and our cadets are going to receive one by one into a separate room, receive the impromptu topic and 3 minutes to prepare. And after the 3 minutes, they come out directly to us and they will shine and perform their speech for us. So speaker 8, the impromptu question you received earlier is, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 8.
Now, when you think of Generation Z, or also known as the Centennials, when we walk around everywhere we go, you must be thinking, we are always bringing our cell phones all around the world, or maybe our wallet filled with either debit cards and credit cards because no one uses cash anymore. But something I carry around everywhere I go, something that is not physical, but rather it is a mindset. I bring with me my confidence and pride in myself, whether it be a school setting or a social setting. When it comes to school and I am going to take a test, I know that I am prepared and I am confident in myself. If I get a good mark on my tests, I am very happy and I take pride in this great new mark I have received, and I share the good news with others, no matter what other people may think. However, if I do get a bad mark, I am not upset about it, but rather I take confidence and pride in the fact that I knew I did the best of my ability, and I know that I can learn from my failures. In regards to social settings, I understand that I may be nervous around new people I have never met before, but it is okay because I remember to be true to myself, to be confident in the abilities I have, and to always take pride in myself. And when it comes to confidence, it's not something that comes instantly. It is a mindset that must be practiced regularly. And I understand that everyone has different levels of confidence. However, we must take pride and understand that we must all be true to ourselves because everyone deserves to feel dignified. And we are all humans. We must all feel valued and remember that we must bring our confidence with us everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 8. Speaker 7, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 7.
Judges, officers, guests, fellow cadets. What do I bring with me everywhere I go? Well, there are a lot of things that I bring with me. If I go into town, I bring my phone, I bring money a lot of the times, I bring clothes. If it's raining, I might bring a raincoat, umbrella. When I go hiking, usually take a lot of stuff. But the thing that I take with me everywhere I go is my brains, because I have to. There's a quote from my science teacher that is very inspiring. He said, "Don't let your brains leak out onto your pillow when you go to sleep tonight." And that is a very useful quote, because if you let all your brains just leak out onto your pillow, the next morning, you wouldn't have them. Even if you had a smartphone, even if you had a computer and internet, you wouldn't really be able to use them because you wouldn't have brains. You wouldn't be able to speak and communicate effectively. You wouldn't be able to write effectively. You wouldn't be able to negotiate effectively. You couldn't cook your meals. You couldn't walk down the street. Now, a smartphone that I've mentioned a couple of times before is pretty useful. I mean, if you're lost, you can find out how to get unlost. If you want to find out where the nearest pizza place is, you can look that up. If you want to find out just a random fact, like how old is, or when did Ronald Reagan die, then you can look that up and find it out in 2 seconds. But a smartphone isn't always extremely useful. When you're hiking, you don't always have internet, so you can't just pull it up and find out, well, where am I going? Money is also useful. You can use it to provide for yourself. You can use it to stay alive. I mean, you have to use it to stay alive. But again, it's not useful everywhere. If your car breaks down on the side of the road, you can't just throw money into the air and hope that your car fixes. You need brains to be able to do all these things. You need brains to find where you're going if you get lost. If you need to survive, let's say you go hiking and you get lost. If you need to survive, a phone isn't going to help you that much. What you need is brains to be able to use the things in your environment to help you survive. If you're lost, then brains can be helpful if you don't have internet. So the thing that I always take with me whenever I go anywhere is my brains. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 7. A couple more seconds for our Speaker 6. Fun fact, BC has the greatest diversity of Indigenous cultures in Canada. Of the 12 unique Indigenous language families in Canada, 7 are located exclusively in BC, which equals more than 50% of the First Nations language in Canada. That's a fun fact. Looks like I have Speaker 6. So, Speaker 6, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 6.
Everyday carry. That's a term that people use to refer to a tool or an item that they bring with them everywhere they go. And for many, it can be something from knives to a wallet. But for me, I have several things that I bring with me. Number 1, my phone. In this day and age, it's a tool that is essential to almost everybody. Everybody has one, and it can be used to contact people. It can be used to search up on a map where you want to go. You can take photos with it with your friends. And these are just some of the things that I do with my phone. And it's a very versatile tool that can let me do many things. Second of all, in the back of my phone, I have my compass card. Living in Metro Vancouver, a compass card is extremely useful because having bused or SkyTrained a lot, I know very well the transit system. And having this compass card means that no matter where I go, I just need to find the closest SkyTrain station and I'll be able to make my way back home in just a matter of minutes. And the transit system actually stretches quite far, which is why it's super useful to have my compass card on me. Next, I have a jacket or a hoodie. Oftentimes when I go out, I don't know how long I'll be staying, or I might know that I might be staying outside until later at night when it gets colder. And having a light jacket or hoodie can help keep me warm and prevent me from getting sick. And speaking of getting sick, finally, we have a bottle of water. Now, this isn't something that many people will bring with them, but for me, a bottle of water is essential. because I can use it. If I get my hands dirty, I can wash off my hands with it. Or if I get thirsty, I can drink water. And if you're spending a long day outside, being able to drink water or clean water that you know is safe because you brought it from home is essential. And sometimes I may bring a snack to go along with that water. A bar, a granola bar, or just a small bag of chips. Everyday carry is essential for many people, and my everyday carry consists of a compass card, a phone, light jacket or hoodie, and water. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 6. So another fun fact is Sir Winston Churchill once said, "Of all the talents bestowed upon us, none is so precious as the gift of oratory. He who enjoys it wields a power more durable than that of a great king. He is an independent force in the world." Speaker 5. What do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 5.
As the world opens up more and more with the pandemic, well, not stopping to be a problem, but becoming maybe less of one right now, I'm able to go to places that are, well, outside my home and go out and about. So naturally, I'm going to have to bring some supplies with me. I can't just go empty-handed without thinking about anything. Now, I could say the obvious things like my wallet, my keys, and my phone. That's kind of a norm nowadays. But I wanted to think about something that I really do bring that wasn't those three. And I thought about it for a bit, and I panicked because I couldn't think of anything. But I realized the pen I used to write this cue card with the impromptu, that came from my jacket pocket. And it occurred to me, I bring a notebook with me quite a bit. You see, in one jacket that I wear a little bit too much, I keep a notebook and pen in my left breast pocket. And why do I do that? I could just jot down ideas on my phone. Why not just type it? And you have it in your pocket. You already have it already. Why carry another additional object just to achieve the same task, if not less flexible? And to that, I say, well, you're wrong. I think it is more flexible in a way. You see, with a notebook and a pen, the ideas are more tangible. They're more real, or they are real in the first place because it's me writing it, and I can do whatever I want to the paper. I can write on top, I could write on the left, I could write upside down if I wanted to. The ideas are arguably more flexible than I would if I had my phone with me. On a phone, a note-taking app, the most you can do is maybe change the font, the colors, and well, if it's italics or underline and whatnot. But really, you don't have that much freedom to do it on a phone as much. Now, they are powerful tools, and they can certainly achieve more objectively than a notebook can, but I just want an excuse to use my phone less and less. You see, sometimes if I'm on a scenery, I might have ideas for maybe a screenplay that I want to write. I'll jot it down on my notebook. If I'm going shopping, maybe I want to put down a really quick list and I'll write it down on the notebook. If I feel like drawing for whatever reason, I can do it on the notebook. And it's a flexible tool, surprisingly, and I just want an excuse to not use my phone anymore. Rip out the piece of paper, give it to someone, and do whatever I want with it. So I carry a notebook with me every day because, well, I just want to have an excuse to use my phone less and less. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 5. And next we have Speaker 4. Speaker 4, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 4.
When I leave the house, I may reach for things that I find important to me. Maybe my cell phone, car keys, sunglasses. But down to the most important things that I bring with me isn't something of material value, rather something inside of me. And I find that the most important thing I bring with me where I go is my optimism. And I can surely thank my family, my mom and dad, for bringing that towards me. You see, when I bring optimism with me, it helps you to face my problems, it helps to spread cheer, and it improves my quality of life. When you're faced with a problem anywhere you go, oftentimes you're led with two choices. You can give up and give in to the problem at hand, or you can persevere and fight. Keep going so that things can end up the way you want them. So having that sense of optimism will allow me to choose how I want to face life, and that is with a big smile on my face. Next, spreading cheer. If you are optimistic, a happy individual, oftentimes you'll find it is as contagious as the coronavirus itself. Just a simple smile can improve someone's day and make them feel better about themselves. And finally, improving quality of life. If you just live your life half empty, things that might seem to you as decent would be not as much so. If it's a cloudy day out, you may say, bah humbug, worst day for a walk other. Or someone who looks at life half full might say, oh, it's cloudy out, we might have rain, and I love dancing in the rain. So being able to depict and choose how you want your life to be is another reason why optimism is something I bring everywhere that I go. So at the end of the day, when I get up in the morning and I'm ready to leave the house, go to school, I grab a few things that I find important to me. But the most important one has to be living life in an optimistic way. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 4. So another fun fact to share with everyone is the first nonstop transatlantic flight took off from St. John's, Newfoundland, and landed in Western Ireland. Pilots were Captain John Alcock and Arthur Brown. They won the London Daily Mail prize of £10,000 for their endeavor. And that was quite a significant amount, especially during those times, and quite the challenge to go do the transatlantic flight there. Now, Speaker 3, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 3.
Now, let me tell you, everywhere I go, I bring a very secret weapon with me. No. It's not the kind of weapon like a knife or a gun. No. It's a weapon that you can use without having to carry it. It's a weapon that we all have. It's the most powerful weapon, our brains. I bring knowledge with me everywhere I go. Nothing that I do is without my knowledge. I go library, I take my knowledge. I go to school, I take my knowledge. I grasp it everywhere I see and everything I learn, because it adds to my wisdom. Now, the most important thing with knowledge is that it can help you grow. It adds to your wisdom, and it also is like a superpower. If you bring your knowledge with you everywhere, it means that you're learning. It means that you're growing. Now, I have a purse of things. Let's imagine I have everything that I need, my inhaler if I need it, and my water bottle if I get thirsty. But without knowledge, none of these things really matter. You need your knowledge to use everything. So bringing it everywhere is a necessity. It's a need. It's not something that's an option, you know? And knowledge can't be stolen. You bring it and you don't even have to worry about it being stolen. It's just yours and yours to keep. And this is why knowledge is so important. This is why it helps you grow, and knowledge is everything. And that's what we learn every day at school. Every time I open a book and read it, I always take knowledge and then I use it whenever I go to a new place. I go to a hiking spot and see and learn that this is the new good spot and I should use it for the next time. It illuminates my path for the future. This is why I bring knowledge everywhere and anywhere I go. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 3. So from the time clock, our contestant number 2 still has 30 seconds in their time slot to write their speech. Now, instead of fun facts, sorry, I do have a couple of dad jokes in my arsenal here, so here goes. I'm afraid for the calendar, its days are numbered. Sorry, might not be the best ones, but why do fathers take an extra pair of socks when they go golfing? In case they get a hole in one. I might have to stop with the dad jokes. They're not doing too well here. So let's see.
Do you see me clapping for them? They were good.
I see several funny, some emojis coming on. So thank you very much. Speaker 2, thank you for saving me. What do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 2.
Good morning, Madam Chair, honorable judges, guests, dear parents, and my fellow cadets. I am Sergeant Hannah Kalin from 899 Vanderhoof Air Cadets, as you have probably heard in my earlier speech. What I bring with me everywhere I go, I usually bring a survival kit with me. Most people probably say their phone or their purse, but I do have a purse, but I don't have a phone, as my parents won't let me get a phone until I am fully driving on my own, which does work out. I usually have a couple of different survival kits with me, and I have like a small one that I can put in my purse, which has like some first aid stuff, and I usually put a small sewing kit in there as well, and other necessary things. I also have one for my vehicle with things like a long chain and a winch, and also spare tire, which don't just try and carry with you because tires are very heavy. And if you don't believe me, go try lifting one. These are all very useful items. And with custom survival kits, you can get whatever you'd like to put in them, and you can put them wherever. So you could have one for your backpack, and one for your vehicle, and one for your purse, and even one for your house. Usually, what I put in them depends on where I'm going. For a survival kit for outdoors, I usually have a knife, a tarp, and some fire starting tools. One thing that all my survival kits have in common is a first aid kit. First aid is very important and can save your life and others' life. Although having it is important, it is more important to know how to use those items. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know how to use a bandage, you won't be able to save anyone. Survival kits are very handy to have, and I think every person should make some. Even if they're just as small as a little cookie container in the purse with a needle and thread, because you never know when your button will fall off before a job interview, and then you can just sew it back on. And if you have first aid items in them, survival kits can help save your life or save other life. So they're very important, and I think everybody should make them. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Speaker 2. And Speaker 1 is with us. Speaker 1, what do you bring with you everywhere you go? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? Speaker 1.
I have gone many places in my life. I've gone to sleepovers, I've gone to friends' houses, I've gone on vacation, I've gone everywhere. I've gone a lot of places in my 14 years of life. And the one thing that I consistently bring with me every single time is Mr. Gingy. My stuffed animal, not an animal, a gingerbread man. And I bring him with me everywhere I go because my brother made him for me. And I have an emotional attachment to him. And it's a really, really fun story to tell. Well, first of all, my brother made me Mr. Gingy when I was 3 years old. He was 8. It is the most derpy looking stuffed animal you have ever seen. It's 2 pieces of fabric horribly stitched together. The buttons on the eyes are falling off. There's paint on it everywhere. It looks, frankly, ugly. It is not very appealing to the eye. But because he made it for me, I've kept it for so long. I was 3, I'm 14 now. That's a lot of years to hold something like that. And it creates a sort of emotional attachment. Every time I go somewhere, I look at it, it makes me feel happy. It reminds me of my brother. He's gone now. He's in university and he's not at home. And I still sleep with Mr. Gingy, that horrible, ugly thing. I still sleep with it. And every time I go somewhere, suddenly I think I lose it. He's pretty small. He's very easy to lose. And anytime I think I lose it, I get panicked, especially when I was like 7 or 8. I lost it once when me and my family were on vacation and I started crying because it means so much to me that something like that my brother made me something like that. And if I lose it, which has happened before, I go frantic. I start searching for it everywhere. I might call my parents, I scream at my parents. It's a whole thing. It's just a really, really fun story to tell. I'm holding this little lanky thing and people come and ask me about it. Like, oh, what is that? Like if I go to my friend's house for a sleepover, they're like, oh, what is that? Why does it look like that? And they expect it. Every time I come, they're like, oh, did you bring Mr. Gingy? Of course I brought Mr. Gingy. I bring him everywhere. So anywhere I go in the world, and that will continue on until I'm 104, I will bring Mr. Gingy with me. I'll bring him until he disintegrates. Because my brother made him for me, and it's so emotional to me, and I love to talk about him. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker 1. And this concludes the impromptu section of competition, and we are going to keep our cadets with us in the auditorium here, but I will invite our judges to go into our impromptu room to deliberate and speak with our tellers so they can culminate those numbers and give us the top 3 names here. So with that said, we will start the cadet interviews. Cadets, I will have you rename yourself back to your rank and name, and we'll ask you a couple of questions. So, cadets, how do you feel? It's all done. Good? You guys did awesome. Bravo Zulu to all of you for your courage and for your exceptional speeches today. So let's get to know who you are. Let's start and we'll go by Speaker 1. Speaker 1, if you could introduce yourself, your name, rank, and squadron you're with.
My name is Flight Corporal Sandy Cataretti. I am 14. I am with the 848 Royal Road Squadron on the lower island. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome. And we are on a Zoom video conference call, and amazing. Like I was saying, all across, our stars are with us all across from BC. From Vancouver Island is Speaker 1, and we have many others with us, but I'll let them introduce themselves there. Flight Corporal Cataretti, what curriculum in the cadet program do you like most and that you look forward to once we get back into it?
I think one of the reasons I joined cadets was because I was very interested in flying and aerospace. And I really loved the aerospace courses that they offer. Of course, I'm only level 2, so I can't really do any of the higher camps. But when I do, that's something I'm really looking forward to, the advanced aerospace program.
Fantastic. Yes, coming up. I think they are all in the lines there. The stars will align for all of you, and you will be able to get into those camps shortly. And I think they have a new program happening for this summer. So keep your eyes peeled and talk to your officers, and they should be able to get you guys all linked up there. Now, Flight Corporal, are you teaching right now?
No, not yet. I think that's level 3, ma'am.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm out of the loop on that one. I haven't been in SSC for a while there. Let's see, your favorite subjects.
I think my favorite subjects are social studies and English. I know that sounds a little basic, but our social studies teacher, she's really amazing at teaching, and she just makes every class really inclusive. And like we have like really nice like group discussions about like social events and things like that, or like things that are happening in the world, which I really enjoy.
Oh, perfect. Okay. What do you find is the most important aspect about effective speaking?
I think for me, the most important aspect of effective speaking is the public speaking portion of it, because it really, I know that that's what the program was designed for. It's to help kids like overcome fears of public speaking, and that's what it did for me. And I know it's doing that for other children with other kids as well. And it makes everyone feel more confident in themselves and more confident in their abilities to talk to people and communicate.
Great job. Perfect. All right, we're going to move on to speaker two. Speaker two, if you can introduce yourself, your rank, name, and squadron you're with.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergeant Hannah Kalin, and I'm from 899 Vanderhoof Air Cadets Squadron, which I think is the best squadron, but all the other cadets will probably argue the same thing about their squadron.
Fantastic. Yes. Pride in each of your squadrons is a must there. And was it 899 Vanderhoof in northern BC? Tell us a little bit about your environment there.
Very cold. We still
Still.
have snow in our yard.
Still very cold, yes. But from what I understand, BC is still one of the mildest climates across our country here. So we are quite blessed in that way there. Sergeant Kaylin, what is your favorite subject in school?
In school? Well, I like medical sciences. I'm planning to be a doctor, but I also really like languages and learning different languages.
Fantastic. And both can work hand in hand, especially in the medical field there. You can certainly utilize multiple languages in that aspect there. For the cadet program, what do you look forward most to going back to?
I look forward most to going to glider school this year. It will be my first camp ever over all my cadet years, so I'm really excited.
Exciting for sure. It is quite a privilege to be able to go to gliding school there. Let's see. Favorite foods?
I don't have a favorite food. I just like cooking them all.
Let's say, what's the dish that you make the most often?
Brazilian ham and cheese rice casserole.
Oh, very lovely. Good job. All right. Thank you very much, Sergeant Kaylin. We're going to move on to speaker three. Speaker three, if you can introduce yourself, your rank, name, and squadron you're with.
I'm Flight Corporal Car from 746 Lightning Hawk, and it's in Langley, the Fraser Valley region.
Fantastic. Thank you. So from Fraser Valley, great job there. Let's see. Hobbies. Are you an indoor, outdoor person?
I'm a totally indoor person. One of the reasons I like effective speaking is because it's an indoor activity.
And luckily these last 2 years has been virtual, but hopefully for the following year, we're going to go back in person and see your lovely faces. So that's what I look forward to the most there. Another question, what do you find the most important aspect of effective speaking?
Breaking away your shell that you're in, because I remember that before I joined effective speaking, I hated speaking, absolutely detested it. And now I'm like a totally new person, and it's kind of scary too at the same time.
Well, scary maybe, but not to fear it. Everyone goes through this. Public speaking is difficult. Even for myself, I am still learning to speak to an audience, whether it's virtual or in person. So we are always improving ourselves at any age and at every age. So thank you very much, Flight Corporal Carr. I'm going to keep moving along. Speaker four, your squadron, rank, and name.
Hello, I am Warrant Officer First Class Jane Rossner from 223 Red Lion Air Cadets here in sunny Vernon, BC.
Sunny Vernon. I've got some sun here in Vancouver too. So like we were saying, BC, we have snow in the north, sunny here, and I think the Fraser Valley was also fairly sunny there. This is Okanagan that we're speaking to, our representative here. And Warrant Officer First Class Rossner, what is your favorite subject?
My favorite subject, I might get a lot of backlash for this, but I am a huge calculus nerd. Oh my goodness. I just love it. I'm in my school, I'm taking AP calculus, so I'm kind of doing a lot of the hard stuff and I just adore it.
You're a numbers guy.
You bet.
Perfect. Nice to hear that. Going back into cadets, what do you look forward to most?
What do I look forward to most? With my time numbered within the cadets as I'm getting to be older and older, I guess the main thing I'm looking forward to now is my last ACR and hopefully summer training with either glider scholarship or teaching advanced aerospace over the summer. One of those two.
Great job. Chief at ACR?
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations. Great job. You'll do fantastic. All right. Thank you very much, Warrant Officer First Class Rosner. We're going to move along to Speaker 5. Speaker 5, if you can introduce yourself, your rank, name, and squadron you're with.
All right. Hello. I'm Flight Sergeant Tonicum. I'm from 767 German, and we're down in Surrey.
Welcome. Great job. Let's see. What is your favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject in school? I've got to say probably music, because we had a music class, and English, weirdly enough.
And English. And multiple instruments, Tonicum?
No, not really. I only play the guitar. I've been playing the guitar.
Still very soothing. Very good. Do you play the guitar at camps?
At camps? No, never brought my guitar to a camp. No.
Oh, I don't think you can, actually.
Probably not.
Why not? Have you gone camping? Are you an indoor guy or an outdoor guy?
Hey, this question sounds familiar. I am more of an indoor guy. I do like, going out for fresh breath of air once in a while, but I do enjoy being inside.
More inside. Hopefully you'll come out outside more often now that we're no longer restricted. I hope it wasn't because of the restriction that you have become an indoor guy. Perfect. All right. Thank you very much, Flight Sergeant Tonicum. Moving along, we have Speaker 6. Speaker 6, introduce yourself, your rank, name, and squadron you're with.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Zhang. I'm from 692 BCIT Aerospace Squadron.
Welcome. And this one's going to be out of the blue. Have you, what is your favorite meal, dish?
Dang, that's hard. It's, I don't know. One of my favorite meals to eat in general is probably sushi.
Sushi. All right. Have you learned how to cook during this restricted time?
A little bit. I kind of can cook everything eggs. That's kind of like my thing to cook.
Scrambled or
everything
poached?
Eggs, like poached egg, Benedict.
Oh, very good. Very good. What do you look forward to most when you return back to the cadet program?
Relearning drill.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Because I guess I've kind of missed doing drill.
Yes, for sure. And drill is not one that you could easily go back into because it's a team sport. You definitely have to be in sync with your entire group there. So thank you very much, Sergeant Zhang. Next, we have Speaker 7. Speaker 7, if you can introduce yourself, your rank, name, and squadron you're with.
I am Flight Sergeant Talbot from 552 Key City Royal Canadian Air Cadet Squadron in Cranbrook, BC.
Welcome, and this is the Kootenay region. And how is the weather out there? Should be the same,
it's
sunny?
Like for the past week, it's been hovering around freezing, but it's warmed up recently, so.
Oh, still freezing, hey? Should be a little more than that, isn't it? Let's ask you, are you an indoor person or do you like outdoor sports?
Well, I don't really do sports.
Or
I spend a lot of time inside, but I'd like to spend more time outside. And one of my favorite activities is hiking. So
fabulous. And with summer coming up, I think I heard that we're expecting to be a scorcher this year as well. So you will be able to have the opportunity to go hiking during the summer quite a bit there. All right. So thank you very much, Flight Sergeant Talbot. And let's see, speaker 8. If not, I am going to call upon Major Lee. Major Lee, if you could introduce to us Warrant Officer Second Class Ty, and I'll
Hi.
explain this a little bit, or Major Lee, you could explain the situation.
Sure, I would be happy to. So unfortunately, Warrant Megan Ty can be here right now at this moment because she's actually participating in the Vancouver Model United Nations conference that is happening this weekend. So on her behalf, she is Warrant Officer Second Class Megan Ty from AAA Avenger Squadron located in Vancouver. She is currently the Squadron Warrant Officer at our unit. And that's all I have.
That's okay, Major Lee. Yeah, no problem. So yes, we had, you may not have known it as we made arrangements with Warrant Officer Second Class Ty as she had two events happening. One was this competition and the other one was the Vancouver Model United Nations sessions going on at the same time. So surprise, but that was the benefits of video conferencing. We were able to do this seamlessly, and the cadets had the opportunity to have multiple things going at the same time. We did do her as speaker 8 just to accommodate that she was able to speak first for the impromptu section and that everything was kosher with our rules there. So thank you again, Major Lee, and we appreciate that Warrant Officer Second Class Ty is occupied at this time, so it is not available for interviews. But we do have all our judges present at this moment, and I would like to thank all our judges for taking the time out of their busy day to join us, and the job is exceptionally hard to mark such stars in BC here. So I like to give the opportunity to our judges to say a few words. But before that, I will start with Judge 1. I'm going to introduce to you Pastor Al Grochowski has lived in Richmond since the fall of 2016 and is the lead pastor at Broadmoor Baptist Church. He is no stranger to Metro Vancouver, having been born in Vancouver and doing most of his growing up in Surrey, but has also lived in southern Saskatchewan and most recently Sechelt on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. After a brief career in retail management, Mr. Grochowski went back to school where he earned his Bachelor of Religious Education as well as a Master of Divinity degree, and has been a pastor for over 20 years. With that role comes the opportunity to be involved in public speaking on a regular basis, which he enjoys immensely, always looking to learn new and better ways to communicate and seeing others develop the art of speaking. He believes people have a voice and should use it well to the betterment of society. Most of all, he loves seeing people's words and actions match, positively impacting community and seeking the well-being of others. Mr. Grochowski loves spending time with his family. He is married to Patricia, and together they have an adult daughter, a growing son they adopted from South Africa, and two adorable granddaughters. He loves playing board games as well as sports like golf and soccer, none of which he claims to be very good at, as well as walking and going on bike rides with his family. Of course, he loves a good cup of coffee. Most of all, he loves preaching God's word and shepherding the people of God, and is passionate about seeing people grow closer to Christ and helping them to that end. So thank you very much, Pastor Grochowski. I'll give the floor to you to say a few words to our cadets.
Well, thank you. It's always a privilege to be part of this competition, and it doesn't get easier. I have to tell you, it actually gets more difficult every time I participate. But I just want to say just a hearty congratulations to all of the folks who gave speeches today. You did very well in both your prepared speeches and your impromptu sections. You were clear, you were concise and passionate, and it was really tough for all of us as judges, but I'm so glad to have had the opportunity. So well done.
Thank you very much, Pastor Grochowski, for your kind words to our cadets there. It is always a privilege to have you. Before, when we were in person, we did have our provincial competition held at Broadmoor Baptist Church, and we thank you for that opportunity of giving that facility, offering that facility to us. We were wanting to do it again this year. Unfortunately, we were still under restrictions, and that we had to do one more year of virtual effective speaking competition. And hopefully, and I have already booked it, your church for next year. So I am fingers crossed, toes crossed that everything will be smooth sailing from here on. And so again, I thank you for your attendance here and being our esteemed judge today. Thank you very much, Pastor Grochowski. Next, we have judge number 2, Ms. Sheena White. Ms. Sheena White was formerly a primary school teacher who went on to open her own speech and drama studio in Richmond. She ran it for over 30 years. Ms. White taught effective communication skills primarily to students from 7 to 17 years of age. They participated in festivals and competitions and took examinations where several earned international awards. She is currently developing an online business that will provide information, advice, and training in effective communication skills. These will include tips and instructions in public speaking skills, but also conversation, discussion, and interview skills, as well as many others. It will be a resource for students, but also for their parents and teachers, where they can access the knowledge to become clear, confident, and expressive speakers. Thank you, Ms. Sheena White. I think I'm going to have to sign up for your class because I need to better myself as a master of ceremonies for this competition. Ms. White, I'll give the floor to you.
First of all, I'd like to say how lovely it is to be asked to be a judge again. And as I agree with the pastor that it really is a difficult job, but it's also exciting because there's all these students standing up there, every single one in their own unique way, communicating with us, and so effectively. I mean, sometimes perhaps it's a more polished research topic, or sometimes it's a very personal topic. And I think it's really interesting to see these different choices and to see how effectively that they connected with us. So it really has been an honor and a pleasure to be part of this and to witness such wonderful growth and development and of skills in all these young people. So I really have to say, just like the pastor, well done to all of you. Well done, really. Good job.
Bravo. Thank you very much, Ms. White, there for your kind words. And next, we have Judge 3, Mr. Derek Yang. Mr. Yang was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Cadets in the late 90s. Having reached the rank of Cadet Flight Sergeant, he left to join the Canadian Armed Forces Primary Reserve. He served for over 7.5 years in the Canadian Armed Forces, first with the Canadian Forces Health Services Group as a medical technician and healthcare administration officer, before transferring to the Naval Reserves as an intelligence officer. After being honorably released from the Canadian Armed Forces, Mr. Yang worked for both the Government of Canada and several Indigenous governments in law enforcement and public safety. Having instructed and presented before large groups, Mr. Yang understands the importance of having effective public speaking skills and credits his success as a speaker to his humble beginnings as an air cadet. Mr. Yang is currently the Director of Community Services and Chief Public Safety Officer for an Indigenous self-governing nation in BC. Mr. Yang, thank you again for your time. And if you have a few words for our cadets.
Good morning. We're still good. We're still in the morning. Good morning, cadets and my fellow judges, and all the lovely people that can join us today. I just want to round out the connection here. Seems like all my other fellow judges have connections with Richmond. I also actually grew up in Richmond, and I believe one of the contestants is from 692 BCIT. 692 Air Canada, which was the precursor to the 692 BCIT, was my old squadron. So it's very interesting how things come full circle. Well done, all of you. One of the things that I really want to pass on to you is these competitions and really the skills that you're learning today and throughout your cadet times really does help in the long run. Just last year, I actually had the honor of presenting before the House of Commons Standing Committee for Indigenous and Northern Affairs. And if you can imagine going from doing things like you are doing right now, effective speaking in front of your peers, to now being before the elected officials of our government in Canada, that is quite a move. That's quite a travel journey. Your ability to orate, your ability to speak, your ability to communicate ideas in an effective manner, both planned and impromptu, that is going to set you apart from your peers. And these skills will help you throughout the rest of your lives. And I want to congratulate all of you for taking the leap and coming into these competitions. And congratulations to all of you for once again doing so well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yang, for your kind words there. So I do have the numbers. They're all ready and we get ready to announce. But before I do so, I'd like to introduce to you and allow Ms. Gail Elgert to say a few words, and then I'll give the floor to her to do the announcements.
Thank you very much, Jermaine. On behalf of Mrs. Terry Hinton, the president of the BC Committee of the Air Cadet League and the BC Committee, I'd like to congratulate the 8 cadets that participated here today in the provincial effective speaking competition. I like to refer to all of you as winners. The effective speaking is such an important skill that you will take with you and use in many aspects of your life. Another comment I'd just like to make is a special thank you to the judges and our other support volunteers for making this competition a huge success. We couldn't provide the effective speaking program without your help. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Elgert, and to Ms. Terry Hinton, our president of BCPC. So at this point, I'd like to ask from the floor, as we have many prominent guests with us, if they have any comments for our cadets today. All right, as I see none. Captain Colosi, are you able to share screen? I wish I had the band with me, then I could have the band playing as we do this. So throughout this year, I've had to run 8 competitions, as BC has 8 different regions, and we have each of those competitions were run virtually, and we had an amazing team helping me make this year such a success, and to have these cadets come through and shine for us today. They have done an amazing job, and today they each will be receiving a silver effective speaking pin. Unfortunately, with restrictions, it is still going to be sent through snail mail. In that package, they will receive a certificate of merit, their silver pin, and if they are medalists, they will receive their medals, and also the evaluations from each of our judges. Once I am able to collect them, we'll send them forth through snail mail to each of our cadets. And this is the evaluation forms are one of the ways that our cadets can receive this feedback and grow and develop their public speaking skills. So for the following years, they can continue with our program and mentor our younger cadets in this public speaking program here. And it looks like Captain Colosi has our slides here. So for this year's British Columbia Effective Speaking Competition
The bronze medal goes to Sergeant Zhang of 692 BCIT Aerospace Squadron. Congratulations. Okay, and I'll move on to the silver medal. Silver medal goes to Flight Corporal Corps from 746 Lightning Hawk Squadron in Langley, BC. Congratulations, Flight Corporal Corps. And the first place gold medal goes to Warrant Officer First Class Rossner from 223 Red Lion Squadron in Vernon, BC. Congratulations, Warrant Officer. And I'll put it back to you, Jermaine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elgert, for announcing our medalists today. So this, as you can see, is the plaque that their names will be engraved on, and they will be going on to our National Effective Speaking. And I believe that's on our next slide. A National Effective Speaking competition is held on June 4th of this year. Again, it is on Zoom. I will forward on that information to our masses, all the SSCs and as many COs, the emails that I have. If not, please email me at effectivespeaking.bcpc@gmail.com and I will get you those information there. Cadets, like I mentioned earlier, you will receive a mail out package with your silver pin certificate of excellence with the judges evaluation forms as soon as possible. And judges, I've received your mailing address, as I'd like to send out a small gift of gratitude as well. Our appreciation to our coaches, officers, judges, parents, and regional host squadron. I think that was myself because I was hosting. The local for locating the volunteers to make this year's virtual competition such a success. Our gratitude does go out to BCPC for their support in this effective speaking program. And this concludes our 2022 BC virtual effective speaking competition. I thank you for all your time, and I would like to take a picture now for our records. And here we have our save the date for the National Effective Speaking Competition, June 4th. These are the times, and please stay with our Pacific time. This one is the National Save the Date poster. Perfect. So at this moment, if I can trouble you all to come online, and I could take a picture of all your lovely faces. All my audiences, come online, join me on this special occasion here for a photo opportunity. All right, those that are on, I am going to take a picture. Thank you very much for all the time that you have spent with us. 1, 2, 3, big smiles. So this year we have 29 audience members and guests with us today at this competition. Perfect. Thank you very much. And this definitely concludes our BC Effective Speaking competition virtually. Again, bravo Zulu to all our contestants. Every one of you are winners in my heart. Please continue to grow, to develop, and to learn all the skills you can for public and effective speaking. Take care.
Thanks, Jermaine. Congratulations, cadets.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Warrant Officer First Class Rosner, I will fire you an email with details. And if any questions, certainly contact me.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Take care.
See you all next year. Bye.